Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for a moment of reflection for our troops who keep us free. Thank you.
Mr. Ferrante's running a little late, so you know.
Lisa, would you read the Open Public Meetings Act?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flinders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Amianda? Mr. Ferrante?
Mr. Ferranti is running late. He'll be here.
Mrs. Laybow?
Here.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here.
Mr. Nacastro?
Here.
Mr. Mania?
Here. We have listed 12 resolutions. We're going to add one to make it 13, and that will be for uninterruptible power supply for the police station. Any discussion on the resolutions? Mr. Canning.
I apologize. Thank you, Mr. President. I have representatives from Flanders Fire here tonight. If the council so desires, we've been working closely with them in regard to the resolution for the purchase of the rescue pumper apparatus. I don't want to jump ahead, but just so council was aware.
Mr. Roman?
On the second resolution for clear security systems, can you give me a background? What is it that entails?
Yeah, this has to do with, in our finance office, there was an incident, I guess about 2 months ago now, Sharon, which was very concerning, and it brought to light the mere fact that in other towns, they have better security than what we have here in Mount Olive Township. It was somebody who became more than irate, and it raised very serious security concerns for the...
So this is interdepartmental within the building?
Yeah, within the building,
Okay.
and we have some concerns for our finance people. There's monetary amounts down there, cash and whatnot, and you know what, we want to tighten it up before we end up with you know, something really bad happening. And again, we think our personnel, we have confidence in our police department, but you know what, an incident can happen there real quick before they can respond. So we just want to tighten up the financial area of our building.
And then also a question on mobile vision. What is that?
Yeah, mobile vision is the cameras, camera systems and the DVRs within the patrol cars. They are invaluable. I'm sure these are going to outfit some of our. We're expanding the patrol fleet, so as we've said from our budget hearings the last 2 years. We've gone from a fleet of 11, we're now at to 15. So we're equipping those other cars with mobile vision. Again, they protect the public as much as they do our own officers from allegations, and also it assures the public of what our officers are doing is honest.
Now, is that replacement for current systems that we have, or are we just adding for the...
No, this is adding for the expanded fleet. Again, we've talked about this in the past. The theory behind expanding the fleet is in getting out to 15 to get those miles off the cars. When we first arrived here almost 3 years ago, we're burning through these cars less than 2 years. We're trying to get 3 years of frontline service at least out of each of those cars. We're still a couple years away from seeing the full fruit of those results, but you know, there's cost that comes with equipping these cars. You know, you not just get your Crown Vic or your Pursuit rated Tahoe. You know, there's lights that go into them. There's mobile vision cameras. There's extra cages, and you know, whatever rifle racks that they use.
Let the record show that Mr. Ferranti has arrived.
And this is, I would like to add too, this is not an unanticipated cost. It was allocated from the capital budget process this year.
Colleen?
Alex finished?
I mean, I have other questions regarding other resolutions. So do you want to chime in on?
Colleen.
I was going to ask a question about the security one. Sean, what are they going to put in their finances? Is it going to be cameras? Is it going to be an emergency button, or?
I believe all the above. Sherry's been the architct. This, if you want to chime in on the details.
We're actually it's gonna be similar to the core colony. We're gonna have like bulletproof see-through glass, you know, in the main area. We're also getting card readers for the side doors so that people are gonna have codes to be able to get in and out. You know, realize we take in well over $100 million that comes through my office every year. So it's just, I've been here 14 years. It's kind of time that we put something in.
Okay, because I was just going to, because I know for for Lisa's office, we have the emergency button. Here we have the emergency button.
We have that, we've had that for a long time.
So you've had that
We
already?
have had that, Colin,
And the
yeah.
other departments, like, the construction department or recreation, they don't have any kind of alert button
No.
or anything?
I believe they have alerts there. All the departments, I'll confirm that. All the departments should have an emergency alert button,
That's-
but we don't have the financial concern that we do down in.
Oh, no, I
finance or
agree.
in the
That's,
court.
that's,
I can verify as to the panic alarm and the buttons in each. You know, you hope in this day and age that you're able to have open government, and open offices. But again, you know what?
But you
Anything can
never
happen
know. But
anywhere.
it could even be somebody could pass out and have a medical emergency you would need the buttons for, to get immediate response. So it's not just for,
I have no button. I'm trapped. I just have a very large mouth.
you have a trap door. No.
Get the Staples button. It's easy.
Thank you.
don't threaten me with death.
Alex?
Regarding the herbicide for the lake, is this on par with the same time we've been doing it in other years? It seems, is it a little late?
It's a little bit later, but it's just more of a formality. This is a bid that we had done about 18 months ago.
Right.
We've always had the option of extending that out for the second year. It hasn't precluded any treatment. We still authorize treatment on this, but just to get we're well under the bid threshold, $6,000. We're barely over the quote threshold, so we're well purchasing wise with other things. This is more of a housekeeping item. Just to say we're officially keeping them on for the second year, and it's going to preserve our right to go out to bid again next year.
Is Princeton Hydro still the,
Yes. Yeah, Princeton Hydro is still our
Consulting.
advisor. Okay, there you go. Consultant.
Consultant, there we
Sorry,
go.
thank you. Yeah, he's our consultant. He's a professional service. It's not something, in his case, we don't have to do a bid every year since he's a professional service. For the services, bid, quote, in this case, it's $6,000, so it's.
do you know when's the last time that we've tested the lake as far as for any growth, or any reports that Princeton Hydro has generated? And if so, is that something that you can disseminate to us?
Councilman Ferrante has the latest treatment, one from Aquatech.
Aquatech, yeah.
Princeton Hydro didn't give me any formal report this year. He does a visual inspection, and he did one in May. It was nothing but an email saying, right now we're okay. A couple weeks later, authorized the treatment by Aquatech, which was what made us look at the current contract and realize that we had to extend for a second year.
Sean, the resolution authorizing the funds from the Township Affordable Housing, where are those two properties we talking about?
That's Woolman Way. Our planner Chuck McGraw was in here about 2 meetings ago.
Oh, okay.
And Woolman Way, this was conveyed to
Club
the,
Estates.
to the Habitat for Humanity, I believe, several years ago. And now they're getting to the point where they're able to act upon it.
It's Country Club Estates, right?
Yes.
That's like a more familiar instead of the street name.
Any further discussion from the board? Mr. Roman?
And then on the power supply, is this just to aid the police department, or is that a power supply that could eventually help out any other departments?
No, this is a significant problem, knock on wood, and we're hanging in there. What the uninterruptible power supply does is when we lose power to the building, we have a backup generator for the police department. It's primarily public safety communications within the township. So if we lose power, it's going to take about 30 seconds, even on the best generator, 15 to 30 seconds to kick in. The UPS, what it does is it keeps all those computers, all those radios, all our communications rolling for that brief period of time. The UPS we have here, I believe, came with the building way back when. They don't even make replacement parts for them anymore. So Scott Gasco, I'd really like to commend on this, as well as Mike Corleone and Mike Spitzer from the police department. They've been patching this thing together since I've gotten here. About 3 months ago, it was after our budget process, they were hoping to string this along to 2015. They had come into my office and said, we got a problem, that this thing's on its last legs. We're going to have to act soon. So we've identified a state contract. Once we're able to get this capital funding in place, which is imminent, we'll be able to move quickly to get the UPS replaced. But it's a real problem with the communications in some that. I was hoping to wait until 15, but we're not going to be able to wait.
That's all I have.
Anyone else, any further discussion? The gentleman from the Flanders Fire Department want to address the council?
Chief's actually on his way. He's going to be about 5 minutes late. He actually wanted to discuss some things with you as well, so I don't know if you want me to wait for him or... Is that cool?
Okay.
All right.
Thank you. Any old business?
He's now here, so it's 1 o'clock.
walking in now. Hold up then. Tell him how important he is. We're holding up the meeting for you.
Oh, no.
Very important guy. Just got home from work.
All right, we can now speak. And some questions go over new truck.
Shoot.
You gotta introduce her.
If you'd like me to set the table, the chief and his staff have worked very closely with my office, and I want to commend them. They identified the Houston Galveston National Cooperative, again, like we've spoken here at the council session before, and it seems to be the way purchasing's going in the state of New Jersey. We're taking advantage of that. By their efforts in identifying it, and I had to do the verification, we look to save about $88,000 over what we would do on a New Jersey bid, not counting the time it costs between, advertising for the bid awards, reviewing the bids, receiving them. So we're saving time and money. So I want to commend Flanders Fire Department. They have an excellent staff, and you can tell they did a lot of research on the matter. So giving you those accolades, Chief.
Mr. Perkins?
Can you get them to tell us who they are and who they represent so they're on the record?
My name is Frank Zeller, Chief of Flanders Fire Department. This is my captain, Tyler Wergo.
Thanks, Chief.
Okay,
Questions?
council have any questions?
Do you guys want to talk about the type of truck, the pumper rescue, the
What are-
strategy used behind
What
that?
our plans are is we have a outdated rescue truck. It's costing us more to keep it alive. So that, and we have a very outdated engine that unfortunately it pumps better than the other trucks because it's the way the engine's designed. But the truck itself is done. And by POSHA and all them nice, lovely rule makers, it's past its prime. So we intend to replace both of those trucks with this truck. So that, right now, currently, when we roll up to a car accident with our rescue truck, if, for God forbid, we needed water, we don't have water on the rescue truck. It's not designed to carry water. New rescue trucks will have water on them. So it's going to serve two purposes and take two trucks off, well, basically off your insurance as well. So that saves you some more money there.
So instead of two trucks on the insurance policy, we'll be down to one truck.
We'll have that one less
Newer,
truck.
which ought to have a little bit better rate on it anyway.
Yes, it was the NFPA, the standards.
Yes. And then, how many gallon storage on the pump?
It's 750 gallons of water and 30 gallons
Foam?
of Class B foam.
Excellent, so you got the foam mixture.
Also, it will be equipped with new jaws of life, pretty much everything you need to do any kind of extrication or fire suppression.
Perfect.
You
Excellent.
certainly can't do your job without the proper equipment, and we certainly recognize that.
That was gonna be my question about the foam, that's good, excellent.
Yeah, no, it'll be full rescue and a full fire suppression. It has to be.
Yep,
We're replacing two trucks, it has to do both jobs.
perfect,
I'm golden.
yep, I'm good,
I think most of us are good. We're all
We're all
good.
good.
thank
Appreciate
you.
it, thank you very much.
That was easy.
Thank you for
huh?
waiting for me, I'm sorry.
That's
Chief,
all
how
right.
you feeling?
Probably took you longer than you dressed.
I don't know. Still.
Any other questions?
Take it easy.
Gentlemen, thank you.
Hey,
Thank you very
for your
much.
time.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
Thank you.
He just had emergency surgery 2 weeks ago.
Any old business? New business?
Stiff where the stitches go.
Anyone from the public? Close it to the public, and we'll adjourn to the public meeting.
So moved.
Second,
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Lisa, would you read the Open Public Meeting Act?
According to the Open Public Meetings Act, adequate notice of this meeting has been given to the Daily Record. Notice has been posted in the Municipal Building, 204 Flanders Drakestown Road, Bud Lake, New Jersey, and notices were sent to those requesting the same.
Roll call?
Mr. Amianda? Mr. Frente?
Here.
Mrs. Laybow?
Here.
Mr. Perkins?
Here.
Mr. Roman?
Here?
Mr. Nacastro?
Here.
Mr. Mania?
Here. First on the agenda is the approval of minutes of previous meetings. Mr. Ferranti, would you do the honor?
Sure, I move to approve the June 24th, 2014 workshop, public meeting, and closed session minutes.
second,
Roll call?
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
yes,
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Abstain?
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Okay, we have correspondence. We have 25 pieces of correspondence. Any discussion?
27.
27?
27, I see. Why, do you see more than that?
No, I thought you said 25.
No, I said 27.
Oh, okay.
Thank you. Any further discussion on it? Hearing none. Next on the agenda is the ordinances public hearing. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 14-2014. Ordinance amending sections 3G and 6B of the bond ordinance number 11-2014 of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, New Jersey, finally adopted April 22nd, 2014, in order to include additional project, to amend the useful life of projects, and to amend the average useful life. Mrs. Laybow?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for adoption and final
I'm sorry,
passage.
wait a minute. Let me open to the public. Anyone from the public? Close it to the public. Mrs. Laybow?
Thank you, Mr. President. I move for final adoption and passage, for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 14-2014.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Ordinance number 14-2014 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. Next is ordinance number 15-2014. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 15-2000 entitled, "An Ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, providing for the establishment of a no parking zone on the western side of Clover Hill Drive from the northern intersection of Rehoboth Road running southbound to the southern intersection of Rehoboth Road between the hours of 8 a.m. and 9 a.m., Monday through Friday, except for the months of July and August, to be incorporated into Chapter 245 of the Mount Olive Township Code." Mr. Perkins? No, I'm sorry. Open it to the public. Anyone from the public? Close it to the public. Mr. Perkins?
Yes, Mr. President, I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 15-2014.
Is there a second?
Second.
Discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Ordinance number 15-2014 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 16-2014, an ordinance of the Township of Mount Olive in the County of Morris, State of New Jersey, providing for the establishment of a no parking zone on Chamberlain Lane from the intersection of Route 46 East running southbound on the western side of Chamberlain Lane for approximately 500 linear feet to the residential area, to be incorporated into Chapter 245 of the Mount Olive Township Code. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? If not, I'll close it to the public. Mr. Roman?
I move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 16-2014.
Second.
Roll call. Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Ordinance number 16-2014 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law.
Mr. President, Number 17, where it's up for public hearing, and I'm looking at last meeting's agenda, and I don't see it as a first reading. Was there an amended agenda? Is 17 up for first reading, or was it read for first reading last meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
She said yes.
No, because I'm looking at last meeting's agenda, it does not have 17 on the copy that was left in my mailbox. So I just want to make sure. Is everybody?
Sherry?
You can.
Oh, I apologize. It was
That was on for
added
first
on.
reading.
Sean asked to add it last minute, Lisa, so I believe that it was on.
Yeah, it was an add-on, the
Yeah.
last minute. It was,
Yeah, and
Okay, all right, so, all right,
Yeah.
just
It was-
making
it was
sure.
on.
'Cause- all right, good. That's all. Thank you.
I open the hearing to the public on ordinance number 17-2014, bond ordinance providing for the acquisition of an uninterruptible power supply for the police communications in and by the township of Mount Olive in the county of Morris, New Jersey, appropriating $96,000, therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $91,200 bonds or notes of the township to finance part of the cost thereof. Anyone from the public wish to be heard? If not, I'll close it to the public. Entertain a motion.
so move. Oh,
Good. Read.
Mr. Nacastro.
No.
Oh,
Castro,
thank you, Mr.
sorry.
President. Move for adoption and final passage of ordinance number 17-2014.
Is there a second?
Second.
second.
Mr. Ferranti, second.
I'm so confused.
Any discussion? Ordinance number 17-2000,
We got a vote.
what's that?
I gotta do a roll call.
I'm sorry, roll call.
Mr. Ferrante?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybout?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Ordinance number 17-2014 is passed on second reading, and I hereby direct the clerk to forward a copy of the same to the mayor and publish the notice of adoption as required by law. Okay, next on the agenda is the consent resolutions. We have 12.
13.
Anyone wish to move?
13.
13, no, that's right, we have
Capital budget amendment.
capital budget amendment has been added to the resolutions.
I move resolutions 1 through 13.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Ray and Colleen.
I'm sorry. Ray?
John?
I'm trying to, you told me to hurry the meeting up, and I'm trying to do that.
Oh, like you listen all the time. Thank you, Mr. President. Very brief, just for the resolution for the Affordable Housing Trust, number 10. For anyone that wasn't here at the last meeting, to know that Habitat for Humanity did provide to our business administrator both of the certificates for these homes. 2 have been built, the previous ones here in Mount Olive Township, on Hatakawana Way and I believe Lozier. And both of those homes are Energy Star qualified. So this expenditure to have Habitat for Humanity build another Energy Star set of homes up there, which will afford these people cheaper, let's say, less cost on their monthly energy bills. So they will be more energy efficient, which means that our money is being put to good use. That's it, Mr. President.
Mrs. Laybout?
Yes, actually, this is sort of in line with what, Ray put up with the resolution number 10, but I have a question actually for the administration. Because we have so many bank-owned properties in town right now, they're just sitting there vacant, and we've already discussed how we're going to put liens on them to keep up the properties and that. Is there any way that we could possibly contact the banks and see if we could, I don't know, buy them out of the trust fund thing to make them COA units, affordable housing, since there's just so many right now vacant? I know some towns are doing that, they're identifying.
Fred or Jeff can correct me if I'm wrong. I think currently under the current COA rules, we can do that. However, I believe in the upcoming rules, what's the term for that, Fred? You buy into foreclosures, it's basically in lieu of with the COA occupancies. As soon as you mention the term, I'll know it, but the upcoming rules have been informed in November, they're not gonna allow that.
Oh, they're not, yeah.
However, I don't know whether there's a window of opportunity now or not. Fred, it has to do with buying the foreclosed home with the developer's fees, and basically
Right.
making that your affordable units.
Right.
I mean, you spoke
A
about it for
deed
life,
in
I
lieu of
can't,
foreclosure, you mean?
bank-owned homes.
Bank, okay.
No, he's saying that it's, in November, they're going to change the law where you can't use your affordable housing money to purchase the bank-owned properties to make them COA, to fulfill COA obligations?
I mean, that is one of the considerations. I mean, there's a lot that's going to happen
Yeah.
before these rules are final. But it would be unfortunate in the sense, because it's been a great way for it's an opportunity to actually, invest in your own economy and to rehabilitate these homes and have them affordable, and they're existing. It's not
Yeah,
like you
they're
have to
already-
go create. But then again, I think, and I know Ed Buzak has been the lead for this for the League of Municipalities, but I think there's going to be a lot before we really have to say it's time to really, expect something to happen. They've already been challenged, the rules, so.
So in the meantime, if we do, John, you have the house right on your street, and I could tell you probably 5 of them off the top of my head that are just sitting there vacant, and the banks, they're just not moving. If we could possibly do something like that where we could,
It depends, I believe, on the spending plan. Again, Jeff and Fred will have to
Yeah,
correct me. but
you
it
would
has
have
do
to
with
amend
COLA
the
approved
spending plan
And
to do
between, we're gonna be in August, I hate to say
Yeah,
it, 3
before-
weeks.
yeah.
And they're gonna adopt the new rules tentatively in November. I'm not sure. We can ask Mr. Buzak to look at it. I'm not sure if COA would move that fast. And again, we still have our spending plan having to do with cobblestone.
Right.
We're in the middle of that due diligence. There may come a point where when we're in our due diligence, that we make some decision and we have to amend our spending plan. Hopefully, if this option is still there, it might be viable. I'm not optimistic that in the next 3 months, though, that we'll be able to. do
right,
that.
so, okay, well, if we could just like put it on the table for the future, like,
I like the idea.
Yeah.
I was kind of dismayed to hear from Catherine, we were speaking about this, I guess, about a month or 2 ago, that under the new rules, that there was no longer going to be a 20% set aside, but a 10% set aside in new developments, but this other option that we were going to have that might be taken off the table by the state.
okay. Well, just in case, I think we should really think about, we could solve our own problem that we have with the properties not being taken care of. And I've been in a lot of these houses, and believe me, they're full of mold, and they just really need total rehab. And if we could kind of benefit from it, it'd be great in terms of satisfying our COA. Thank you.
Well, if there's an opportunity to be heard on that, I think at some point the league will solicit comments, and that's certainly one we can, I think a lot of towns would agree.
Yeah.
That's, you really don't like to see ways to get affordable housing on an efficient basis taken away, and this is really a way.
Well, these houses are already owned by the bank,
They're owned,
so,
and it would be, it's a benefit.
yeah.
Any other discussion? Anyone from the public wish to be heard on the consent resolutions? If not, I'll close it to the public. Roll call, please.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
Yes.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes.
Mr. Mania?
Yes. Next is consent motions. We have 2. Entertain a motion.
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Just for the record, could you just say what you're moving?
Okay. I'm moving the consent motions 1 and 2.
You just spell it out.
Peddler's permit for...
Peddler's permit and the bill list.
It's peddler's permit for 3 different people and the bill list.
Okay.
Why don't you
I'll do
read
it
it
up.
right out, please?
I move consent motions 1, approval of peddler's permits for Angel Ramirez, Andrew Cardenas, how do you say that? Cardenas, and Emmanuel Zigbo? Zigbo?
Say that one.
Yeah.
Alex. Say that last one.
Yeah, really. Alex can't help me with that one. It's EZEIGBO for door-to-door solicitation for Sloman's.
Home Smith.
And number 2 is the bill list.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
No on 1, yes on the bill list.
Mr. Nacastro?
Yes, no on 1, yes on 2.
Mr. Mania?
No on 1, yes on 2.
That's tied, it goes down.
It's denied, it goes down.
Yep, it's tied, it goes down.
Yep. No peddler's permits.
Can I ask a question about that first, just to, before we get to this point, Mrs. Lashway, then they've already gone through the police background check and the fingerprints and for all three of them?
They've paid their application fees,
Fees.
they've gone through the fingerprinting process, and they've been recommended for approval by the police department. I think we probably need to put on the record why we're denying it.
Because they've laid out, it's a long process, because I went
I'm
through it
gonna
myself,
change
and
my
it's
vote.
expensive.
Let's not make this a big thing.
Okay, but then if that's what's going to happen, and certainly that's good, then since you voted no, you would have, someone who voted no has to make a motion to basically reconsider this. So you would need to make the motion, Council President.
I'll make the motion to reconsider our vote.
Second?
Discussion.
Any discussion?
Roll call.
Mr. Frente?
Yes.
Mrs. Laybow?
Yes.
Mr. Perkins?
Yes.
Mr. Roman?
No on 1, yes on 2.
Mr. Nacastro?
No on 1, yes on 2.
Mr. Mania?
Yes.
Okay. So now the permits, for the record, do carry and
Yes.
are approved, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Serrano.
Thank you.
Administrative reports. I'm
Thank you,
sorry.
Mr. President.
Excuse me one second, Mr. Cat. I just want to ask a question. When, I know the procedure for permits is that they go through the process and spend the money. Perhaps we should change the procedure a little bit and let them know if we're inclined to approve it before they go through the expenditure? I mean, I don't know if we can legally do that.
I don't know if you can legally deny it if the police department has
Right.
recommended it, and it's...
Yeah.
Right,
You know,
if there's a
you have to
record
have-
made and there's a recommendation, you know, that they've completed, you know, whatever checks and process that are involved, and as Lisa said, you know, that's, you know, the police department are doing that, then I would say, I think you did the right thing this evening. If you don't like something, or you don't like the process, you could always revisit that and change the qualifications or what's necessary. But if they complete their qualifications and all's in order, I think that's the way they're presented on the agenda. So I think you did, you know, the
Because
right thing to revisit it.
I mean, I think I'm uncomfortable with voting yes to begin with, because I don't really like any more people coming door-to-door
Well, then
peddling.
you should consider
And
amending the ordinance.
That's
Right.
exactly my point.
Door-to-door.
I think
Right.
we're tending to go with that thought process, and I would feel better if we didn't have door-to-door peddling. And, I mean, we get people who come and they don't have their peddler's permit, because I ask them all the time, and they usually take off really fast. And, but maybe we might want to think about not allowing door-to-door peddling.
That would be on a future workshop.
Yeah, okay, so if we could put that on?
Sure.
That's why I just want to bring it up right now, because I think that's where
Good
a lot
point.
of us are leaning.
Not a problem.
I'm not a fan.
Administrative reports.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank council tonight. One of the things we had on the in the backup was entering into a contract for our recyclable material with FCR Morris, also known as Ray Community. As part of the backup, I'd done a brief analysis, and from the benchmark we'd seen, once we go to single stream recycling, and I know Councilman Nacastro has been one of my biggest supporters through this whole thing, and Councilman Perkins as well. Conservatively, we'd really like to set the goal for next year of 10% reduction in solid waste, and that's certainly attainable. With the prices being what they are at the county MUA, they have not been lower than $89 in almost the last decade. They're up in the mid-90s now. So we certainly could, look to save in our sanitation utility anywhere between $70,000 and $150,000 if we're really able to get the single stream up and going. A lot of questions here at this body in the past. I finally have the definitive answers for you. Plastics 1, 2, 4, 5, and 7, which means no styrofoam. Really tried. I'd love to have the styrofoam. It's big, it's bulky. Unfortunately, they can't take it.
They can't do it.
The nearest competitor that we were trying to get to take the styrofoam isn't willing to come this far out. They're based in Carlstadt, so we've been spending the months trying to get the number 6 styrofoam into the recycling stream. But regardless, it's most of your plastics except for 3s and 6s. Any volunteers? I already have one very earnest volunteer. Anybody else from council wants to be on our YouTube channel and local cable access? We're gonna directed Director Quinn to film something for YouTube and also for our cable. And we're gonna start airing the public service campaigns on Facebook, YouTube, and local cable starting
Absolutely.
August 1st. Just
Oh,
a brief,
well.
quick hitter. So we'll talk about the script and,
Yeah.
you know,
I also-
what have you.
Could I just interject for, because I was thinking about this, I'm sorry, Mr. Mania, can I ask him a question? I was thinking about this the other day when school starts up in September, because we talked about how we just have to get people to recycle more. And I was wondering if we could like engage our elementary age students and we start really educating them and they almost, you know, when they go home and they say, Mom, Dad, you can't do that, and, you know,
It'll
maybe
be
have
part
some
their-
kind of a contest.
It'll be part of the community contract.
Okay, good.
Anytime you get a recycler that comes in, takes your material, they almost always include a education component. In my interviews with this company, they had promised as well. They have certified teachers going to the school districts, and you're right. It starts at home, and single stream makes it so much easier. Currently, we don't make it easy for people to recycle, especially you have to tie up your bundles of paper. You have to do this, you have to do that. Anything that's single stream now, if it's not one of our big green cans with the one-arm bandits take, it's recycled. So as you go down the road, you should see more cans and hodgepodge as opposed to most of it. I drive through now and I see way too much garbage and just a little bit of recycling. So come Labor Day, we're hoping to reverse that trend.
Good.
Property auction, if you didn't see it before, 6:30 today, we auctioned off a parcel formerly owned by the township on East Forest Road for $15,000. It was not under Rossi. I want to commend council for giving us the go-ahead several months ago on that resolution. I want to thank Jeff and Fred. They did a lot of work on that, and we're in the middle of the conveyance of title now.
How many bidders were there?
Just one. We've done this before in another location in the township. It always goes to the immediate property owners first, if there's no bidders, but that I have never encountered where we don't have the, usually that's the indicia. We'll get approached by somebody who's an immediate property owner. It's not on the Rossi. It's a good business decision on our part, so it's, we take a non-productive piece of property, make it productive for the tax rolls. Property maintenance, as you all know, the property along Route 46, Johnson Ave, which has been there for years and has been on my radar for 2.5 years. We're finally served with an unsafe structure notice. We'll be moving forward on that within the next 3 weeks. We've given that owner every bit of opportunity to correct that situation, so we're going to unilaterally move ahead as we can within the law. So we're moving ahead on that now. Carnival this week. If you've been up to Turkey Brook, they're ramping up. That's going to get going again tomorrow night. Fireworks on Saturday. I'm very excited. That's Recreation's biggest event of the year. Baptist Church, our historical grants that we were approved for in 2013. The bids are going out for the exterior restoration. That'll be going out probably within the next week or two. Expect to see some commencement of activity probably September, October, probably before winter sets in. Two other things. We received positive indicator from the County of Morris as to grants on the Seward House. That'll be coming up at the next council meeting, so we're gonna have over $80,000 in grants on that, which is, that's a good thing, and that's more shoring up. You're not gonna see real progress on that for several years where it's really shining. And last but not least, I know council was at least copied in part, if not whole. There was a concern in Drakestown Road and other parts of the township about garbage pickup last week. And it had to do with the July 4th holiday, July 3rd sanitation being off, and there was a long gap between the previous pickup and then getting to this week. DPW did everything that we've always done traditionally. We put it on the website, they put it on Facebook, but after looking at it, we feel it's not enough. I spoke with the mayor, spoke with Tim. Tim stepped up. We brought in some extra crews to help with the garbage concerns, but I've directed Mr. Quinn that for now on, anytime we have a holiday, a week and a half before, we're going to use the Everbridge system, so we really want to start pushing that to get people the text, and now there's no excuse at all that you don't know when garbage is coming. So we're going to try to be a little more proactive and use every communications at our disposal. And that's my long-winded report.
I received a few calls on that subject.
Yeah, so like I said, they put it in the calendar, they put it on the website, and sometimes that's just not enough. So we're going to try to use the Everbridge, which is, it goes right to your cell phone. So just like anything else, we're going to try to put it right in the palm of your hand.
Mr. Perkins?
Thank you. Sean, I want to speak to you privately on that
Okay.
when you get a chance.
Yes, absolutely.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Any old business? New business? Legal matters?
Thank you, Council
We
President.
have two attorneys here tonight. Just want to let you know that.
Two quick items tonight, Council President. First, with regard to the cobblestone matter, there was a meeting with the experts. We should have an update for council at the next meeting. And secondly, just to echo Sean's sentiments, he kind of stole my thunder there about the property sale. But it was a very unexpected source of revenue for the township with the sale tonight, and also puts the property back in the tax roll. So we're very pleased to help out and be a part of it.
And then also, Council President, we spoke to you at the last meeting regarding the Paragon Village proposal, and I'm pleased to tell you, based on the direction that we received, that we moved it a little bit further, went up about from 4.5 to 4.65, so more basis points, which is actually another $200,000 over the life of the proposed term. And the good news is, I know Sean, the administration had mentioned they were looking for $86,000. We got up to the $86,000 for the 2014 year. So
Yay.
we should have that for the next meeting. You know, once the state goes back and gets the potential bidder to sign on to this, we'll come back to that and present that to you for approval. And that's my report. Thanks.
Thank you. Council reports. Mr. Ferrante.
The lake, the Aquatic Technologies was out. Aquatic Technologies was out yesterday morning, and they treated the lake, 23 acres, for milfoil and curly leaf pondweed. And library board, they continue to have summer programs, so check out their website. They have programs for adults and children throughout the summer. That's it.
Mrs. Laybow.
Thank you, Mr. President. I made it to a senior citizen meeting last week on Tuesday. It was excellent. And the only thing we had, of course, Mr. Kenning was right on it. They had a microphone that's wireless, and every time they would start to talk, it would just like go out. I mean, when it was working, it was great. It was really nice and loud, but it kept going, so I kept banging on banging, and then trying to shout. We had 96 people there. It was wonderful. And I actually signed up as a member. I'm officially a senior citizen member now.
Wonderful.
Only took-
Congratulations.
Thank you. I was so excited. I'm like, yay! And and they're having the picnic is a week from Thursday over at the senior center for the senior picnic, right, the 17th. And so anybody wants to come and help out with that, that'd be wonderful. And then the Economic Development Committee, we don't meet again till September. However, we did get an email this week from our chairperson, Mr. Stadelman, that over at Sutton Plaza, it is now being managed by Cushman and Wakefield. They're actually taking care of it. They cleaned up a lot of the debris that was around in the parking lot. They're filling in the potholes and, you know, sprucing that up quite a bit. So that's all good news over there. It's going to start to perk up a little bit over there. And last but not least, TNR is doing fantastic and just moving right along. And just, it's absolutely wonderful with our animal control officer, Frank Nelson. They're just really nice harmony going on between and taking care of any issues of stray cats. So that's it.
Would you be so kind to check with the seniors to see if we can have a challenge for the bocce game?
We're
that
supposed-
we did a few years ago.
I asked that several times last year. It was with the police, and they're planning on doing it with us this year. So I will let you know
See
with the
what you
date.
can
Oh
say.
yeah, I asked.
I enjoyed
That's the
that.
first thing I do every time I
I have
ask.
Sicilian descent.
I said, when are we going to play bocce? You know, so
Not
We don't
taking
know
it
about
easy
you.
this time.
We don't hold it against you.
We throw about our,
we had a lot of
Opposition?
fun. We had a blast. That was a lot of fun. So
yes, we did.
I will double check, see if we can firm up a date and get moving with that.
Appreciate that. Mr. Perkins.
Yes, Mr. President. Lisa, would you be kind enough to remove the Safety Committee liaison from the agenda from here on out? As I mentioned to council last meeting, the Public Safety Committee, as we had formed it in 2008, is no longer a functioning committee. That has been taken over by OEM, who answers directly to the administration. It's not really a legislative function, so we're backing out of that. The Mount Olive TV, Ms. Brett and myself will be meeting, get a meeting set up with Superintendent of Schools, Mr. Larry Reynolds. We want to review the previous guidelines and policies that were in effect, which kind of were a little restrictive for some of the things that I think we've discussed here, where we want to promote some of the businesses within the township. I want to review some of those changes with the superintendent first, just to make sure that there's no issues. Once I have his quote-unquote blessing or any concerns, I will put all of it into a memo form, send it to Lisa, who can distribute it to the council as well as to our attorneys for review. And then we should look to abolish the ordinance that is presently in effect. We have maybe 3 people that have stepped up to be members. Anybody that reads the ordinance, when you go through that, the restriction on who can be a member and what has to happen, and you're pretty much giving up your first and second child, before you can be on this committee. So, of course, we're not making it easy. So kind of like recycling. If we want to make it easy for people to be able to present things to the township to where we can promote events and businesses within the township, we have to make it easier for people to participate. So I should, as I promised you guys, I'm in the middle of that right now. It's in July, and I should have that hopefully finished up by the end of this month to get to council for August. That's it, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. Perkins. Mr. Roman?
Nothing to report on open space and recreation. We got the carnival tomorrow. That's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. DeCastro?
No Board of Health meeting this month. Next one is August 20th, and nothing on legislative.
Planning board was supposed to have a meeting this Thursday. It's been canceled. We have our next meeting on the 17th next week.
Mr. Manning?
Mrs. Laybell?
I just have a question with Mr. Perkins with the safety committee. Did we form that council liaison by ordinance or resolution? Okay, so do we have to take any formal action to? No?
Same as we do with the prior committee when we abolished that
Okay.
by resolution.
I just want to make sure we don't have to, okay, thank you. I know some of them are a little
Right.
more,
Yeah,
Well,
no,
some
this
of them are
isn't one
done by
that's on-
ordinance.
right.
in the township code.
Mhm.
Open the meeting to the public. Anyone
So
from
we
the
have to
public wish to
abolish
be heard?
the ordinance because we needed ordinance out of it.
Right.
Not, I'll close it to the public. Council comments. Mr. Ferranti?
Nothing tonight.
Mrs. Laybell?
I just want to say that Monday at 2 o'clock, we're expecting our granddaughter to arrive. So,
Wow.
I'm so excited.
How precise.
Well,
Wow, it's not bad. 2 o'clock.
2 o'clock.
It's
So-
punctual already.
So at 2 o'clock, you guys know I'll be pacing the hospital halls, waiting for, now she has a scheduled C-section, so unless unless Alexis decides to make her appearance before that, that's,
But you have a name for her.
yeah, they her name, they want to name her
Wow.
Alexis, and
Not after
she's scheduled on Monday, so I'm really excited, so my grandson, I'm gonna have 2 little bambinos with me running around.
Wonderful.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mr. Perkins?
Thank you, Mr. President. This past Saturday at Sam's Club, the award was presented in honor of veterans, the military, active military, and all of the emergency services personnel within the township of Mount Olive by Sam's Club. The mayor was there, Ms. Brett was there, Mr. DeCastro, Mr. Roman, his lovely other half. I was there, got to stand next to 2 Marines, and as I posted on my Facebook, I'm not as lean, I'm not as mean, but I'm still a Marine. It was kind of surprising. I think I stood over these kids by about 18 inches. But of course, they had on nice black tight T-shirts, and I had a very baggy jacket on, which was appropriate for the time. But it was a wonderful event. They had an excellent thing. People, from Flanders were there, Bud Lake, all of the police department. It was a wonderful showing by Sam's Club, who's donated so much to this town over the past couple of years in support of our emergency personnel. So anybody that couldn't make it there, it was fantastic.
I couldn't make it. I was in the Hamptons.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found that out. That's okay. Other than that, get to the carnival this week.
Mr. Roman?
I have nothing.
Mr. DeCastro?
Nothing.
Nothing. Just a comment from me. Periodically, I ride up to Turkey Brook and Mount Playmore. I'm just amazed at the amount of kids taking advantage of this thing.
Oh, yeah.
And speaking with some of the parents, they're ever so happy. So I think we did a great thing with Mount Playmore. Thanks to the administration and the council. That's all I have. Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you to the public.
Guys,